Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video we're going to be breaking down the new Festival Merlin gameplay from both the Japanese and Korean live streams. And these showcases were probably some of the worst that they've ever done for new units. It's like they use every single opportunity to not use the Merlin cards. You can see turn 1 here, man, they're just going straight for the Escanor cards, but it does show her passive damage reduction, which caps the damage that she takes from a single card at 40% of her maximum health. So against golden Escanor cards with Gotha, I think this can be really good for slowing down the one Escanor a little bit, and also looking on the brighter side of things, if we see like some insane PvE content in the future, like a really high tier of Tower of Trials that like every opponent is going to one-shot you in a single card, if it works in that scenario as well, this Merlin could actually be really good for certain PvE content. So her passive isn't too bad, and also the second element of her passive is increases attack related stats by 1% for every 4% of health that she has. So basically if she's 100% health, she gains 25% more attack related stats. So here this Merlin's going for a cleave card that also blocks out healing for the next turn as well. As you can see at silver, there really isn't too much damage off it. It's not terrible, but it's not like eyebrow raising either. It's not as strong as like Valenti's cleave or Sariel's cleave or like a Pierce card, but again it does block out any healing effects, which can be very good for like Lizazol, also lifesteal effects as well, regeneration. So yeah, I think it is going to have its value in certain scenarios. And also her single target card is exactly the same as Sariel's, so it deals even more damage based on the opponent's resistance. So the more resistance, the higher damage there. So yeah, this Merlin should actually be really good for getting through blue drolls, I would assume. So yeah, her cards, like, they're alright, they're not bad. Like Sariel's card I've always found to be a really decent card single target, but I must admit most of the time playing Sariel, I'm hoping to draw into like as many crazy AoE cards as possible, just so I can wipe the whole team. A single target damage, again, doesn't look unplayable, it doesn't look terrible, it just looks a little bit less exciting than other top tier characters like the one Escanor, Sariel, and also Lost Vein Meliodas by comparison. So this is the thing that worries me a little bit about Merlin, because I think being an unknown race character, it means that she can't synergize and actually work well on a team with Halloween Gotha, because she's not going to trigger the passive for the entire team, because, you know, they're both unknown race there. So in the current meta where Halloween Gotha is on like every single team, I think this is actually a massively limiting factor for the new Merlin. Hopefully we're going to see her ult as well, but it looks like they didn't want to actually let us see it here in the showcase by stunning Merlin here, so a little bit annoying. I mean, the play, you know, makes sense as a good play to go for. But yeah, overall, just we're looking to see Merlin cards at the moment. So I think next turn, what's this man gonna go for? A couple of Lost Vein cards, maybe a Liz Shield as well. They had a habit of like dunking some of the Liz single target cards for no reason. I think a little bit later in the stream here. So the next turn kind of shows how her passive works, at kind of capping the damage to 40% of her maximum health, but it only applies to her and not the entire team. So yeah, this is like somewhat limiting, I feel. If it applied to the whole team, I think it'd be really, really good. I'm not too sure if like ultimates bypass it here, but you can see the one Escanor is going to one-shot Lost Vein, then the echo damage goes over to Merlin, but also a passive procs and stops it dealing more than 40% of her maximum health. But she still gets clapped by a combo, man. You know, it's not really like that hard to throw 3 cards in a turn that are going to get this Merlin down. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just not seeing anything that's like initially strong enough about this Merlin to make her like a top tier meta character. Maybe there's going to be some sort of like crazy team and setup, but if her passive damage reduction only applies to her as a character and stops the damage at 40% of her maximum health, it really just doesn't seem that strong as a passive. Instead of going for like upgrade Escanor gold cards, it's like, you know, using the Escanor cards individually to get her down. So yeah, I'm a little bit cynical. I really haven't seen anything in the gameplay across like all of the PvP matches that indicates that she's going to be anything close to a top tier unit. But anyway, let's move on to the next match. Alright, now next up, they decide to run the same teams back to back. I see that you start with the lucky Merlin draw. I think one of the potentially annoying things as well is that running Merlin means you can't run Merlin in the back as well. So it means Merlin ult rush teams, because she has like a fairly decent ult. I would say the ult in comparison to Lost Vein, Meliodas, and also the one Escanor does have its flaws, and we'll talk about those shortly when we get around to the ult. But yeah, it means you got no Merlin in the back, no potential to, you know, go for those aggressive ult rush plays at the start. So here he goes for a Merlin card to break Escanor's shield there, Liz shield, and then pumps in with the one Escanor card. I think the better play actually might have been to use the Escanor card first, break the shield, so that he could have got the bonus damage on Merlin there. But yeah, as I said a little bit earlier on the stream, man, it's probably the worst showcase they've done for a new character. The best play here would have been to like double merge the Merlin cards to try and rush Merlin's ult so we can actually like see her in action. But he went for the one Escanor merger to get Escanor's ulti here, and yeah, double Merlin cards to try and kill. So yeah, I wish they had gone for the ult there. Again here, could have rushed Merlin's ult, could have gone for some Merlin cards. I think goes for double Liz cards, and Escanor uses like a Liz card that's not even a stun as well. So at this point, man, I think a lot of people watching the stream were having a little bit of a cringe. I definitely was as well. I was like, this is meant to be like a Merlin reveal live stream, and you're just like avoiding all of the Merlin plays. So yeah, it was a little bit like, what is happening here, boys? But I think this turn, what does this man go for? An Escanor ulti, I would assume? Oh, no Escanor ulti. Holds on to the Escanor ult here for some reason. Tries to stun Escanor, doesn't break the shield. And then, yeah, we've seen some Merlin cards here, bro, some Merlin tornadoes. I think this is the turn we actually see some Merlin plays. Oh no, going in for a single target Liz card. Why? I think they're trying to show like the regeneration cut here, or block out that Merlin has on a second card, which again I think is going to be really handy in some scenarios and situations, because it hits absolutely everybody. You still got some fairly decent damage off it. Again, Merlin's damage can be greatly decreased as well the more you take her down hit point wise. So that's been like a common theme with both her and Escanor, but it does come off the passive of Merlin. But again, if you do nuke her down, you're like reducing the attack related stats by up to 25%. So yeah, if you take 80% away, that is 20% less attack related stats. So that's a really significant chunk if you start nuking into her. As we can see here, the one Escanor ult just wipes Escanor. Again, her passive doesn't seem to help additional characters there. Goes for the Merlin AoE. The damage really not too exciting there on Merlin or Liz. I mean, it's not like terrible, but it's just like, you know, where's the Sariel Valenti level numbers that a festival unit kind of needs to have to, you know, bring that spice to the table. However, the good thing about her AoE as well is it is a debuff card, so it's going to scale off like Green Hendrickson's passive, and also it does block out healing on top of that as well. So if Liz goes for the heal here, then we can see that no healing actually lands on Merlin or Liz. So yeah, that blocking out of healing in the right scenario can be quite nice there. And again, that was a pretty nice hit on Escanor there. Takes him down almost 100,000 there. But it does seem that, you know, if you get her health down a fair bit, she just has like quite a low chance to crit characters. Because we saw on the trading dummy in the initial preview that she's just critting absolutely everything. But the reality of a lot of the top tier characters, man, apart from Lost Vein, is they do have a fair amount of crit resistance, and that is Merlin's ult. So Merlin's ult deals damage to all of the characters on the opposing team, so it's an AoE ult, and then also shields the characters on your team for up to 20% of the damage dealt. So as a shield, it really isn't that big, but if it's hitting like everybody on the opposing team, especially in stuff like 4v4 PvP and Guild Wars in the future, again, could be very, very valuable. But I think in most scenarios, you do prefer something like Lost Vein's ult that wipes the whole team, or the one Escanor at 6/6 that just guarantees that you're going to take out 2 characters. And obviously with like a couple of Escanor cards as well, you can just pretty much wipe the whole team there. So yeah, just in comparison, having that ult that has like 600% max damage and also shields as well, I don't think it's going to be strong enough to decide a lot of matches, maybe with a little bit of follow-up on the right team with Death Pierce in the back. But yeah, I'm not quite sure that's going to be like a reliable top meta strategy. I just also feel like she's very vulnerable to ult rushing on the opponent, because again, she's got no ultimate control. The damage output in comparison is a little bit lacking. She also is like fully susceptible to all debuffs as well. So yeah, I just feel like the more I think about this Merlin, the more cons she has on paper. So I'm really skeptical as to how good she's going to be as a brand new character. But I feel like if there's any festival unit that like a good portion of the community maybe aren't like too hyped for, it's maybe Festival Merlin. But you know, I still want all these kind of big festival characters to be really good. And here, if you just went for the double Lost Vein cards, could have probably like easily won this match or gone for the stun. But I think they went for Liz's heal just to showcase that again she does fully block out healing in matches as well, and then went for the Lost Vein cards there. But I feel like Sariel, Lost Vein, the one Escanor, there's already like so many characters that are just going to have an absolute field day with this Merlin. So yeah, let's check out Merlin's ult here. Again, she doesn't have much health, so doesn't get that bonus. 100,000 on Liz, and also about 60,000. And again, from what we saw in the gear preview as well, this is pretty much like a fully decked out Merlin. So I think this is like close to her max potential, just as an individual character, but the variance is going to be on like the team setups and what works nicely alongside her. I would like to be a lot more excited for this Merlin, but I think they did like a really bad job at showcasing her. If I'm going to be completely honest, man, like those matches were like very difficult to watch, and they were like constantly going out of their way to like not use the Merlin cards or just misplaying constantly. So yeah, it was just it was really hard to get an idea of her value. But I think tomorrow we are going to be summoning on this banner on the Japanese version, testing her out, see if we can make her work with certain teams and setups, because again, against the training dummy, she did look like pretty damn good, man. You got some nice damage output, some nice crits, but she does kind of look like a much worse version of Sariel, at least in my opinion, or like the green version of Valenti. I think both of those characters did look a bit more exciting in comparison to this new Merlin, but who knows, we could all be very, very wrong, and she could be an amazing beyond god tier character that absolutely dominates and destroys the meta. I think it's always, you know, a little bit difficult to tell until characters are actually released, because sometimes the showcases are somewhat misleading in certain scenarios. So yeah, I'm interested for the new Merlin, but I do have my doubts as to how good she is going to be as a brand new festival unit. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy today's PvP breakdown and first look, please do smash that like button. That would be greatly appreciated. Aside from that, thank you all very much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.
You are not subscribed to the whale sin of spending? Who decided that? Subscribe now, or enjoy the bitter taste of regret.